The executive director of the MSA United Way homeless shelter in the capital city tells us up until a month ago, they rarely had to turn someone away. Now the shelter has been at capacity for at least a month. When we last spoke with Director Jenna Gullo, she told KX News United Way was running out of options for help. Now the state is stepping in. Renee Cooper gives us the ins and outs of a new shelter program.
It actually is a life or death situation for so many of our homeless clients. The vast majority have multiple underlying risk factors.
But things are looking a little brighter. The Department of Human Services, along with multiple state agencies, have come up with more shelter. We won't be showing the location of the actual temporary shelters for the safety of those quarantined there. But Sarah Stolt with Human Services says intake into these facilities is just a 10 to 15 minute phone conversation with her department.
Not everybody gets tested who goes to the shelter. It depends on what they're there for. We had someone come from Seattle yesterday on a bus. And they're homeless, but they have to be quarantined because they came from out of state. Now, if during their quarantine they would show the symptoms, then we go through the testing process. But sometimes it is just the 14-day quarantine.
Right now, that 2 weeks is the limit for stay, unless someone is still sick.
Case management works on a discharge plan with the individual, so we don't just discharge people and say, okay, you're back out on the street.
I'm quite certain they'll be reassessing that as time goes on because there's too many factors and variables with this pandemic.
Vulnerable people who need a place to keep safe do have to be referred.
Existing homeless shelter, it could be an emergency room, it could be the hospital, it could be a food pantry or social services. Really, it's just that we want to make sure someone knows who they are, has laid eyes on them.
Once housed at one of the 8 sites across the state, you're given 3 meals a day. This is available for anyone, anywhere in the state. And this program has the potential to outlast the pandemic.
I wouldn't say that the emergency shelters necessarily will become permanent, but in terms of addressing homelessness, food insecurity, and domestic violence, that is really going to be the focus of this task force.
The temporary shelter has been available for about 2 weeks now, housing 45 people. And Stolt says there's still plenty of space. Reporting for KX News in Bismarck, Renee Cooper.
Right now, the cutoff for FEMA funding for these shelters is May 10th. In the next week or two, a decision will have to be made on whether or not to continue the program for another 30 days.
The North Dakota